risers that we can sit on. All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna start today by laying down on our backs. So if you guys wanna go ahead and find a position where you're comfy, where your low back is kind of in a neutral space. So if you need to bring your feet to the floor to help that low back be neutral, feel free to do that. And then let's just take a second, just kind of settle in. Feels good to be able to just clear away whatever else is going on, to be able to be present in this moment. Go ahead and take a deep breath in your nose and a soft sigh out your mouth. And do that a couple more times, just some cleansing breaths in your nose and out your mouth. And as you focus on your breath, I'm going to invite you to deepen that breath, making it go down a little bit lower in your abdomen if you can. And then the invitation for today is to think about, again, being present. Think about the things that keep you grounded, the things that regulate you throughout the day. That's another word. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about our own emotional health, because emotions, as we know, even from science and from our own experience, can be catching. And so it's a little bit like a cold. If somebody walks in a bad mood, oftentimes that affects the people around them, and it can affect us too. And so we're going to be talking about how do we then maintain, how do we lovingly detach from that moment and maintain our own sense of well-being in the midst of that. So when you're ready, if you haven't already, I'm going to invite you to take your feet to the mat. And we're going to go ahead and see if you can get your knees to be at a 90-degree angle. So you might have to take your feet away from your body a little bit. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to raise those toes up toward the ceiling. So we're flexing our feet, holding that for a breath or two. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and float those toes down to the mat. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and take those toes up toward the ceiling again. And then exhale and float those toes down. And then pressing your toes into the mat, or the balls of your feet into the mat. See if you can raise your heels off of the mat. You'll feel your calf muscles tighten. Holding this again for a breath or two. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and float those heels down to the mat. And go ahead and on your next inhale, take those heels back up. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and take those heels back down. And we're going to switch back and forth between those two. So you're going to take your toes up toward the ceiling, and then float those toes back down. Take your heels up toward the ceiling and float those heels back down. Again, matching your breath to the movement. So inhaling as you raise up, exhaling as you come down. Just going nice and slow at your own pace. And then when you're ready, We're gonna go ahead and take that right foot, making sure that both feet are on the floor. You take that right foot and slide it underneath the left leg. So you're gonna open your knee down to the side if you can. So really opening up that right hip. Taking a nice deep breath. When you're ready, you can take that foot, slide it back out, and then you're going to take the left foot and slide it underneath the right leg. Again, allowing that left knee to fall open and down toward the mat. You might feel this in your inner thigh or maybe the top of your quadricep muscle. And then when you're ready, you're going to slide that foot back out. We're going to take both knees up toward our chest, hugging them into our bodies. We're going to rock back and forth across that low back. And then coming back to center, we're going to go ahead and release those feet down to the mat. Leaving our knees bent and our arms down alongside our bodies, we're going to engage our core and see if we can leave the angle in the knee, the same angle in the knee. And you're just going to bring the knees up, almost like if you were in an upside down, all fours position, that, with your legs, that's kind of what you want to do. And then we're going to point our toes and see again if we can leave that same angle in our knee. Rotate at our hips and drop the toes down, engaging our core, and then engaging our core to bring those back up to tabletop position. And then just do that a couple of times, going nice and slow. Exhaling as you come up. Inhaling on the opposite move. See if you can really focus on that core. It's just a gentle move here. And if you need, you can always bring your feet in closer to your body to make this a little bit more accessible to you. So you can make that angle a little bit different. Then drawing those knees into your chest once more. Go ahead and rock back and forth across that low back. Then here, we're going to roll to one side. We're going to gently push ourselves up into a seated position and then flip over onto our hands and knees. We're going to start here with some cat-cows. So checking in with your wrists, that they're underneath your shoulders, checking in with your knees, that they're underneath your hips. We're going to go ahead and press that rib cage down as we allow the tailbone to come up and the head to come up. And then as you exhale, go ahead and arch through the spine up toward the ceiling, dropping the crown of the head, tucking your tailbone, and then moving at your own pace, inhaling as you move into cow, and then exhaling as you move into cat. I'm doing maybe 5 or 6 of these. Exploring the edges of what's possible with your body. Stretching just a little further each time. Really opening up that neck space as you come up into your cow position. And then returning back to neutral. Here, we're going to go ahead and stretch out our hips a little bit. So we're gonna walk our hands forward slightly, and we're gonna do some big circles with our hips. So we're gonna kind of shift our weight forward, and then like you're drawing a circle parallel to the floor, you're gonna go out to the side and back over top of your heels, out to the other side, and then returning back to the forward position. I'm gonna do, again, maybe 5 or 6 of these, just at your own pace, nice and slow, shifting your weight around. Feel free to pause anywhere where it might feel either sticky or where it feels like there's a hitch and it needs a little bit more attention or a little bit more breath. One of the interesting things about our bodies is that if we have unprocessed emotions, a lot of times the hips are kind of like the junk drawer of the body, and that's where a lot of things get stored. And so it's important for us to just kind of work that out. All right, so pausing at the front when you get there, you're gonna then go ahead and return the other direction. Again, drawing those circles nice and slow. Just going as far as feels comfortable to you. So if you need to do some smaller circles, feel free to do that. If you want to take your arms out further away from your body and make this a larger move, feel free to do that. But continue to breathe as you do so. And then when you're ready, you're going to meet me back in the front. And then we're going to shift our hips all the way back over top of our heels, stretching down into tiled toes. Taking a nice deep breath for today. When you're ready, you're going to press your hands into the mat, pulling yourself back up onto all fours. We're going to go ahead and start to slide our right knee forward between our two front hands and come down into pigeon pose on the right side. And I would encourage you to think about taking your head, the crown of your head up toward the ceiling first. And then, if you would like, you can bend forward over top of that bent knee. And relaxing into this. And if you need to find a little movement here, feel free to do that so you can kind of rock back and forth if that's comfortable to you. If you want a deeper stretch, you can start to work your foot away from your body, so out, away from you. Again, taking some deep breaths. So when I was in college, there was a roommate that I had who ended up being diagnosed with bipolar at the end of the year that we roomed together. And so there was a lot of things that she didn't realize about herself and didn't know. And so when I would come back to our room, or to the place we were living, oftentimes I didn't know what to expect. So one day it would be like we were best friends, and the next day it would be, I hate you, get out of here, sort of an experience for me. So it was really important for me to learn how to regulate myself in the midst of those moments. When you're ready, you're going to walk your hands back toward your knee. You're going to start to slide that right knee back. And you're going to slide the left knee forward. Again, kind of working yourself into this pigeon pose. Go ahead and make sure that the crown of your head is up toward the ceiling. Your shoulders are down away from your ears first. And then as you exhale, go ahead and fold forward over top of that knee. So I originally, because that was my first experience with that sort of thing, I would come home and I would try to make everything better for her, no matter what was happening. And I found myself really exhausted at the end of a couple of months because it seemed like no matter what I did, it wasn't enough and it wasn't right. And so finally I had this revelation or epiphany that I needed to create a little bit of space for myself in the midst of that moment. And so one of the ways that I learned to do that, and the language that I learned later in life, was the language of lovingly detaching from that situation. Taking another deep breath here, go ahead and walk your hands back towards your body, sliding that knee back behind you, underneath your hips once more. We're going to go ahead and put this all together. So we're going to go ahead and move into cow position, allowing the crown of the head and the tailbone to come up. And then we're going to exhale into cat, tucking the tailbone, tucking the chin. Inhaling back to neutral as we slide that right knee forward. Sitting nice and tall, and then folding forward. Then slowly walking those hands back towards our bodies, sliding that knee back underneath the hip. And again, starting with cow, and then moving up into cat. Coming back to neutral, and then sliding the left knee forward. Sitting nice and tall, and then exhaling forward. Walking hands back towards our knee, sliding that knee behind us to come underneath our hips once more. We're going to add on a little section here. So here we're going to go ahead and balance on our right knee, on both knees actually, in our right hand. We're going to reach up with that left hand, taking it toward the ceiling if you can, and then exhaling that underneath the right arm as you sit back over top of your heels. Pausing here for a couple breaths. When you're ready, you can slide that left arm back up, coming to all fours once more. This time shifting your weight to the left hand, reaching up with the right hand. And then as you exhale, go ahead and take that right arm underneath the left and sit back on your heels. Taking a few deep breaths. Go ahead and slide that right arm out, pulling yourself up onto all fours once more. We're going to put that all together again. So inhaling into cow, exhale into cat. Coming back to neutral, slide that right knee forward. Sitting nice and tall first, and then folding forward. And walking those hands back towards your body, sliding that knee back. Again, starting with cow, so coming into cow, inhale. Exhaling into cat. Coming back to neutral, slide that left knee forward. Sitting nice and tall. Exhaling forward. Walking the hands back toward the body, sliding the left knee under, shifting your weight to your right hand, Reaching up and inhale as you reach toward the ceiling. And then exhale, slide it under the right arm and sit back. Inhale and pull yourself forward. My hood is getting in the way here, sorry guys. Shifting your weight to the left hand, reaching up with the right, inhale. And then exhale, slide it under the left arm as you come down, sitting over top of your heels. On your next inhale, slide that right hand out, come back to neutral. We're going to go ahead and take our toes and tuck them underneath. And start to slowly walk our hands back towards our bodies, shifting our weight onto the balls of our feet, pausing at the back of our mat for a little squat, feeling a little stretch in our Achilles, and also up through our calf muscles. And then when you're ready, you're going to leave your hands on the mat and start to reach your hips up toward the ceiling. We're going to pause with our knees bent first, taking one elbow in each hand, hanging down for ragdoll pose. And if you need to in this pose, or if you would like to, you can start to find a little bit of movement, so we're kind of swaying back and forth from side to side. Really releasing any tension you feel in that along the spine, in your low back space. Bringing your hands back down to the mat. You can straighten your legs just a little more. Coming into your first forward fold of the day. Staying here for several breaths. Go ahead and then bend your knees. Place your hands in your knees and slowly round yourself up. Very good. So standing in mountain pose at the back of your mat. If you'd like, you can go ahead and bring your hands to your heart center. Take in some deep breaths. So one of the ways that I lovingly detached from that situation that I was talking about was that I would remind myself that I was responsible for me and I was not responsible for my roommate. And that was just step one of creating a little bit of space for myself there. So the invitation today is to consider in your life, is there somewhere in your life that you need to create space for yourself? And what is a way that you can do that? When you're ready, you can go ahead and take those hands back down to your sides if they're not already there. We're going to inhale, both arms up overhead. Bringing palms together, exhaling to heart center. Inhaling those palms back up toward the ceiling. Exhale and fall forward, coming down into a forward fold. We're going to stay here for a few breaths again. When you're ready, we're going to go ahead and take that left hand to the right foot in whatever form or fashion that feels most comfortable to you. You can also grab around your ankle if that's more comfortable for you. You're going to take that right arm and reach up toward the ceiling. Continuing to breathe. Taking that right hand, sweeping it down. We're going to take that right hand to the left foot. This time, taking the left hand up toward the ceiling. And then sweeping that left hand down, folding forward once more, then bending the knees, placing the hands on the knees, and then slowly rounding ourselves up. Very good. So we're going to do that whole thing again. So inhale, arms up, palms together, exhale to heart center. Inhale, palms toward the ceiling. Fold all the way forward. Taking that left hand to your right foot, reach up with the right hand as you inhale. Exhale as you bring that forward and switch sides. Inhale the left arm up. Exhale again as you come forward. This time coming up to your fingertips for flat back. Inhale. And then exhale all the way forward. Go ahead and sink your hips down in this pose. Bringing your upper body up. Taking your hands to heart center for chair pose. Or if you need to, you can reach your arms out in front of you for a little bit more balance. And then we're going to take those hands back down, lifting the hips, and then bending our knees once more, placing our hands on our knees, and slowly, slowly rounding ourselves up. Very good. We're going to do that again. So inhale, arms up. Taking the palms together, exhale down to heart center. Inhale, palms all the way up to the ceiling. Forward fold as we exhale. Go ahead and take that left hand to the right foot. Inhale as you reach up with the right arm. Exhale down and switch sides. Inhale the left hand up. Exhale down. Coming into flat back pose. Coming up to your fingertips. And then exhale forward. Inhale as you shift your hips back and down, bringing your upper body up. Pausing here for a breath or two. Engaging those thighs, engaging those glutes. And taking your hands back down to the mat, lengthening the legs. Bending the knees once more. With your hands on your knees and then rounding yourself up. So, as we return to mountain pose, we'll continue our story for today. So I said part of learning how to lovingly detach in that situation was reminding myself, I'm responsible for me, she's responsible for her. That was step one. And the next step for me was to get in touch with what I was feeling in that moment, which can be hard to do. It can be sometimes really difficult to be honest with ourselves. So again, as you think about your own life and where you might need to create space for yourself, also think about kind of creating a container then that will allow you to feel what you're feeling in that moment. When you're ready, we're going to go ahead and step forward with the left foot. We're going to come onto the ball of the back foot, checking that that heel, if you can, is over top of that ball of your foot, so you're not back into it. The arch of your foot is engaged there. And then when you have this set, go ahead and raise your arms for crescent lunge. We're going to go ahead and take both hands down over top of that front foot to the mat. And we're going to shift our weight to that front foot. And we're going to bring our back leg up, at least if you can. If you can do it parallel to the floor, great. If not, then make like a little kickstand or somewhere, some version of that for you. If you want to take it a little deeper, you can. And then sweeping that foot back down. We're gonna return back to our crescent lunge, first through our runner's lunge, then lifting up, raising our arms. We're gonna step forward with that back foot to meet the left foot, excuse me. Exhale, both arms down. Inhale, both arms up. Bringing palms together, exhaling to heart center. You guys kind of know where we're going now, so inhale up, fold all the way forward. Take the left hand to the right foot, reach up with the right hand. Exhale and switch sides. Reaching up with the left hand. Exhale back down to the front. Inhale to half pipe. Exhale all the way down. Go ahead and sink those hips down. Inhale as you bring your hands to heart center. Pausing for a breath or two. Then taking those hands back down, lifting the hips. Go ahead and bend the knees. Hands on your knees. Slowly round yourself up. Stepping back with the left foot this time. We're coming into crescent lunge on the other side. Think about straightening that back leg a little bit more if you can. That'll pull on that hip flexor, deepening that stretch. We're taking both hands down to the mat. Shift your weight to that front foot. And then start to bring that back leg up if you can. Again, coming as far as feels comfortable to you. Setting that back foot down. Coming first into our runner's lunge. And then lifting up into our crescent lunge. Exhale as you bring that back foot forward. Taking those arms down. Inhale, both arms up. Bringing palms together. Exhale to heart center. Taking palms back toward the ceiling. Exhale all the way forward. Taking that left hand across the body as you reach up with your right. And then switching sides. Sweeping that left hand back down. Coming into flat back pose. Exhaling all the way down again. Inhale as you shift your hips down, bringing your chest up. Pausing for a breath or two. Then taking those hands back down to the mat, straightening the legs, bending the knees, putting your hands on your knees, and then rounding yourself up. Very good. All right, do we have one more in us? We'll do the other side here. So you guys kind of know, again, where we're going a little bit more. So standing at the back of your mat, thinking about our mountain pose, about balance, about lengthening the spine, about alignment. This time we're going to start with our right foot forward. So we're stepping forward with the right and checking that back foot that the heel is over top of the ball of the foot. And then raising our arms up. On your next exhale, go ahead and take both hands down to the mat. Shift your weight to that right foot. Start to bring the back foot up behind you, parallel to the floor if you can. Further if you would like. Then setting that back down, making sure that your stance is firm and secure first before lifting up back into crescent lunge. Stepping forward with that back foot Exhale, arms down. Inhale, arms up. Palms together. Exhale, heart center. Inhale, arms up. Separating those palms, fold all the way forward. This time taking the right hand to the left foot, reaching up with that left hand. Exhaling all the way down, switching sides, reaching up with the right. Exhaling all the way down. Lifting and inhaling to flat back. Exhaling all the way down. Inhaling as you shift your hips down. Bringing your hands to heart center. And then exhaling those palms down to the mat as you fold forward and straighten your legs again. Go ahead and bend the knees. Put your hands on your knees. Inhaling up. And exhaling to the top. Very good. This time we're going to step back with the right foot. And making sure that our base is set, that we're feeling grounded before we raise our arms. Again, see if you can straighten that back leg just a little further. You'll feel a little bit deeper stretch in that right hip flexor. And then taking both hands down to the mat, shifting that weight to your left leg. Go ahead and start to raise the back leg parallel to the floor, or coming as far as feels comfortable to you. Setting that back down behind you. Coming into runner's lunge first. And once your feet are set, lifting up into crescent lunge once more. Exhaling forward as you step to meet the left foot. Then inhaling, arms up. This is the last time through. Palms together. Exhale to heart center. Inhale, palms up. Exhale all the way forward. Taking your right hand to your left foot. Inhale and reach up with the left hand. Exhale forward and switch sides. Inhale the right arm up. Exhale forward. Coming into flat back. Exhale all the way forward. Shifting those hips back and down. Lifting up into chair pose and inhale. And then exhale, placing those hands on the mat, lengthening the legs. Go ahead and bend those knees, hands on your knees, and slowly round yourself up. Very good. We're going to move into our balancing postures. So if you need to move to a wall or to a chair, feel free to do that. Woo. Very warm.
Got a sweatshirt on.
I know, I have a sweatshirt on, but I'm not sure about the shirt underneath, so I'll keep that on. So for today, we are doing tree pose. So again, we're starting in our mountain, checking in that we're feeling balanced across those feet. Checking in with our hips, that they're over top of our ankles. Checking in with our shoulders, that they're over top of our hips. And then checking in with our ears, that they're over top of our shoulders. When you're ready, you can start to shift your weight to the left foot, drawing the right foot in like a little kickstand. Taking hands to heart center for tree pose. And then if you would like, you can explore this further, bringing that foot up, extending one arm out, and then the other if you would like. Thinking about engaging your core. And when you're ready, drawing those hands back to heart center. And stepping out of that, releasing the hands down into mountain pose once more. And so then here, again, we start in our stacked position here, shifting our weight to our right foot, drawing the left foot in, taking our hands to heart center, and then exploring further if you would like. Taking one arm out, and then the other. You might notice that you feel more stable on one side than the other. And that's very normal because we don't use our bodies evenly throughout the day. So we might have skills on one side of our body that we don't have on the other side, which is why we try to do things evenly in yoga to help balance that. When you're ready, drawing those hands back to heart center, stepping out, releasing the hands down into mountain pose. Taking a few deep breaths here. And then returning to your mat, I'm going to have you guys get down into a child's pose if that's comfortable for you. If that's not comfortable, you're always welcome to turn over onto your back or your knees to your chest or something along those lines too. So as I was talking about that story and the learning that I was doing in the midst of that year, I was learning to lovingly detach from the situation, to realize that there was nothing that I could do necessarily to change the other person in that situation or to make that better for her. And so what I had to do then was to take care of myself. And so again, I would remind myself in those moments that I'm responsible for me and she's responsible for her. And then I would start to, again, create space for myself to feel what I was feeling in that moment. And then I would remind myself of the truth, some of those core truths in all of our lives, that the core of who we are loved abundantly. And so in doing that, then that would create a lot of peace in my life. So that way I could show up as my best self in that moment, regardless of what was happening for the other person. And then I knew that I would be okay also in the midst of that moment too. When we're ready, you're gonna go ahead and pull yourself up onto all fours. We're gonna start again with our little routine that we began with. So we're gonna drop our bellies, coming into cow. Exhale up into cat. Coming back to neutral, sliding that right knee in front of those, or between those two front hands. Sitting nice and tall, and then fully forward. And then walking those hands back toward ourselves, taking that right knee back underneath the hip. And back to all fours, dropping the belly, bringing the head and the tailbone up. Exhaling as we arch. Coming back to neutral. Sliding the left knee forward. Sitting nice and tall. And then exhaling forward. Walking those hands back toward our body. Sliding that knee back. Here I'm going to give you the choice. You can go ahead and do that little routine again a couple of times. Or if you are checking in with your body and there's something else that you need to stretch, feel free to do that. Or if you just want to take a different pose and just hang out in that pose, feel free to do that. So again, if you want, you can go ahead and come into cow, come into cat, just like you have been doing, or you can take another pose in your body and just hang out there. ready, I'm going to encourage you to find a final relaxation pose. And then the last couple of thoughts that I have for us today are the encouragement to examine how stress kind of unconsciously impacts us throughout the day. And then using those skills, if you can, of creating a little bit of space for yourself, holding that space for yourself to feel what you're feeling, and then reminding yourself of the truth and regulating yourself in the midst of that moment. Remembering that you matter. All of you matters. When you're ready, you can start to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Start to move yourself into a seated position from whichever pose you're in. When you're ready, you can come into that comfortable seated position. If you'd like, you can take your hands to your heart center, or you can open them to your knees. Let me close us in prayer. God, thank you for this space. Thank you for creating space for us. Lord, that you say that we matter, that all of us matters. God, we ask for you to continue to make us aware in our lives of how stress impacts us, whether that's from the emotions of other people or from circumstances or situations. And God, would you continue to ground us, to remind us of what's true, and to remind us of your presence with us in those moments. We love you, and it's in your name we pray. Amen. Thank you so much.